Coming up on 5 Minute News. UN climate report gives stark warning to humanity. Republican attempts to overturn retirement regulation rejected by Biden. And New York City braces for Trump indictment and potential public arrest. It's Tuesday, March 21. I'm Anthony Davis. A UN panel of experts stated on Monday that humanity still has little chance of averting the worst effects of climate change. However, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change warned that in order to achieve this, carbon pollution must be rapidly reduced by about 2/3 by 2035. The head of the UN said it more forcefully, urging affluent nations to stop using coal, oil and gas by 2040 and calling for an end to new fossil fuel development. Humanity is on thin ice, and that ice is melting fast, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said. Our world needs climate action on all fronts, everything, everywhere, all at once. Stepping up his pleas for action on fossil fuels, Guterres called for rich countries to accelerate their target for achieving net zero emissions to as early as 2040 and developing nations to aim for 2050, about a decade earlier than most current targets. He also called for them to stop using coal by 2030 and 2040 respectively and ensure carbon-free electricity generation in the developed world by 2035, meaning no gas-fired power plants either. After contentious debate, the UN science report approved on Sunday concluded that to stay under the warming limit set in Paris, the world needs to cut 60% of its greenhouse gas emissions by 2035 compared with 2019, adding a new target not previously mentioned in 6 previous reports issued since 2018. This is likely the last warning the Nobel Peace Prize-winning collection of scientists will be able to make about the 1.5 mark, because their next set of reports may come well after Earth has either passed the mark or is locked into exceeding it. Joe Biden on Monday issued the first veto of his administration, rejecting a bill that would have overturned a Labor Department regulation pertaining to an investing approach for American retirement plans that Republicans have criticized as woke capitalism. The legislation passed by the Congress would put at risk the retirement savings of individuals across the country. They couldn't take into consideration investments that would be impacted by climate, impacted by overpaying executives, Biden said in an Oval Office video released by the White House. And that's why I decided to veto it, he said. Republicans have railed against so-called ESG investing, an acronym that stands for environmental, social and governance, arguing that it prioritizes allocating money based on normal political causes such as efforts to combat climate change and divest from fossil fuels, instead of earning the best returns for retirement accounts. The veto underscores Biden's new, more confrontational relationship with Republicans in Congress after 2 years of working with Democratic majorities. Now the White House is readying for even more consequential battles in the months ahead over government spending and the nation's debt limit. House Republicans, in turn, are using their control of the chamber to advance legislation they intend to use against Democrats in next year's election. The White House has argued that the legislation would have made it illegal for pension fund managers to consider risk factors MAGA House Republicans don't like, such as the climate crisis, when making investment decisions. As New York City prepared for a potential indictment of Donald Trump over an alleged hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels during his 2016 campaign, workers built barricades around a courthouse in Manhattan on Monday. It would be the first ever criminal case against any U.S. president. On Saturday, Trump again incited his followers on social media to protest what he was claiming was his looming arrest. In his call for protests, Trump raised concerns for law enforcement that supporters might again engage in violence, similar to the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol in Washington. Fearing a trap, however, several far-right grassroots groups have opted not to heed his call, security analysts said. A grand jury, which heard further testimony yesterday, could bring charges as soon as this week. Trump, who is seeking the Republican nomination for the White House again in 2024, had predicted he would be arrested today. An indictment would hurt Trump's comeback attempt. Some 44% of Republicans say he should drop out of the presidential race if he is indicted, according to a 7-day Reuters Ipsos poll that concluded on Monday. The investigation by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg is one of several significant legal challenges facing the disgraced former president. You can subscribe to the 5-Minute News Patreon for bonus videos, commentary, and more. Go to patreon.com/5-Minute News.